Hi everyone, I'm puppy sitting this cute little girl, Mia here, and I'm going to use her as an example to show how you train leash pressure with positive reinforcement. Now I've already got a video tutorial on how to train leash pressure, and I'm quickly going to go over why it's different than what a compulsion trainer would say leash pressure is. So basically they're trainers that condition pressure on leash to be a punisher, but instead with positive reinforcement training, we're conditioning the leash pressure to be like the cue to come with you. So initially, dogs generally don't like to have their harness put on. So we condition them with positive reinforcement to in small approximations. So they first, get their head in the harness and they get a treat for that, then have the harness put on. And when they're really comfortable, you'll see a positive emotional response to having the harness put on, that the dog is wagging, their ears are forward, they're not doing any stress signals. So the same is true for leash pressure. Naturally, if we don't do any training, when a dog hits the end of the leash, either they won't care and they'll keep pulling, or some dogs will find it aversive. So a compulsion trainer would condition it to maybe be more aversive, so the dog doesn't like it. So if they use the leash, use pressure on the leash, they're trying to get the dog to stop doing something. So when you train with positive reinforcement and the dog hits the end of the leash, they shouldn't stop doing the thing that you didn't want them to do or pull towards. So if they're pulling and they hit the end of the leash, they will continue to do whatever that is because this shouldn't be a punisher. Instead, what it is it's like a recall. So when you call your dog away from something and give them a treat, that's not going to train them not to do that thing again. So I actually do have a video on what to do, say like if you're walking down the street and you don't want your dog to pick up stuff, because if you just keep calling your dog away after they've already gone over to mess around with the stuff, that's not going to train the dog to never leave that stuff alone to begin with. So the same is true with training leash pressure with positive reinforcement, is that you're building it as a cue, and it should actually become reinforcing, where when the dog does feel the leash pressure, they're reinforced for the behavior of coming back. Are you ready? So what you're looking for in this training is that the dog looks interested in wanting to work for the food, their body looks relaxed, and they're not offering any stress signals when you do add the pressure on the leash. So at first you can begin with handling if you have a dog that's very body sensitive, but this puppy is really comfortable with handling, very comfortable with wearing the harness. So me touching the harness like this is not causing any sort of stress in the puppy. If that was a concern, I would first work on just touching the dog and reinforcing and conditioning touch to be reinforcing and creating a positive emotional response to just being touched. Good job. So now I'm going to get where the leash is, and I'm just going to feed as I put some gentle pressure on the leash like this, and you can see it's very gentle. The puppy's just hearing the noise of it. Good. And then I'm going to mark. So I can also do that by holding the front. If, say, for example, the puppy was attached to the front, and I'm just going to say good at the same time that I'm pulling, and she's seeing if I've got a treat in my hand. But basically, I've got the front of her thing, and then I'm going to say good. And then you start to delay when you mark. So first, you make the pressure, and that predicts the marker and the reinforcer. So I'm going to make a little bit of that feeling. Good. And then feed a treat. Get it. Good job. Good. 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 And now, good. 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 Can you still see me? Okay. Good. 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 So now I'm going to put a treat down on the ground as a distraction, and she most likely will pull towards it because she doesn't know yet to not pull when she's on a leash attached to her harness. So I'm going to put it just out of reach so that it's not too hard for her. So I suggest 3 feet or 2 feet at least over there, and then good. She's actually not pulling towards it. Good job. Did you even see it? Good. Up, 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 up. Good. Good. So I'm making sure that she doesn't run out and hit the end of the leash. So I have it at the right length that the leash pressure will happen without there being any sort of jerk. So I'm putting the food down, and then there's immediately the pressure on her leash, and I'm marking and reinforcing her for turning and coming back to me. And if she doesn't think to do that, I can just use a treat on her nose like this and mark and reinforce for her coming back when she feels that pressure that she can't get to whatever it is on the ground. Good job. So a lot of people would say, why then is she not going for those treats anymore? Right now she still is, but watch. First, I'm marking and reinforcing her for coming back. Good. And then I'm marking and reinforcing her for not pulling. So when she feels the pressure, it means come back and be reinforced for being on a loose leash and ignoring the distraction. Good. So you can see she started offering turning away from the distraction. Now she's closer than she was before. But if I keep her at the same distance, she's going to start offering turning away from the distraction, and I can mark that. So the millisecond that she feels that tiny, gentle pressure that she's hit the end of the leash, she's going to turn around and look at me, and I can reinforce that. So a lot of people would argue the quadrants is that the leash is punishing her, but in actual fact, I'm conditioning that feeling in the same way that you would condition a clicker, that they hear it and they get a treat, in the same way they feel this pressure and they get a treat. So it's not going to turn into a conditioned punisher that you can use to punish dogs, which is what other people use. It's just a way of interrupting a dog, like a positively trained whistle, recall, or a kissy noise. So I could do the same game with the kissy noise or her name, but instead I'm going to use the leash pressure so she learns when out and about, if she does hit the end of the leash, it simply means to come back to the person. Good job. And then the most important part is you reinforce the behavior you do want the dog to do. So you prevent rehearsal of what you don't want, mark and reinforce, and then you reinforce what you do want, which is staying on a loose leash. Good. And staying on a loose leash is good for your dog's health. Pulling on a leash is not good. No matter what gear your dog is wearing, it is just not good unless you're doing like canicross or sled dog stuff and they're wearing a specific harness that's made for those sports. Pop-ups, good. Good job. Okay, get it. You want it? There you go. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. See you later.